Hey there, I'm Craig Moore, and this is a video that's going to be about intro to roping. So the basics you need to know so that when you're at home you can start roping by yourself. So the first thing you need to know, Felicia's going to help, is how to make a coil. So if you have a rope, and you need to make these loops. Now what these loops are is a twist. So when there's a twist right here, I can put it together and it looks very nice like that. If there's not, if I take the twist out and I try to put this together, it doesn't want to go together like a coil, so I have to add a twist just like that, and then to do another one, add another twist. And when you have a stiffer rope like this, it kind of has a little bit of a memory, but as I'm bringing this rope, you might not see it, but I'll roll my fingers just a little bit, every time to make that coil. Once you have your coils, in order to build a loop, you have to get rid of those twists. If I don't get rid of those twists and I put those twists, you can see that twist right there. If I put that in my loop and I put that in my loop, well, when I try to swing it, it's going to be all twisted up like that. So when I go to build this loop, I have to take the twists out as I make my loop bigger. Now there's two ways to do that. You can just untwist it like that, where the loop's outside your arm, and you can see how I can't make a coil between my hands, so I can add that and drop this one. I need a twist, one twist between my two hands. So right now there's this twist, so if I want to make my loop one bigger, I could do that again. Or let's say my loop's too big, I want to grab a coil, I could turn it the other way and add a twist. See how the twist went into the loop right there? I'll just pull it out. I picked up a coil and now I'm back to where I need to be. So the other way, other than going to the outside of your hand, will be to just roll this loop around like that. And as it does that, it takes the twist out. So now, the next thing you need to know once you've built a loop is what it should be. So if you're gonna rope a steer head or a calf head, or you're gonna have a fairly good sized loop. This isn't gonna be your dog and cat loop, that would be quite a bit smaller, but to rope the steer head, the distance you want between your hands is when your right arm or left arm, whatever you're roping with, is straight, you want to only be able to pull this arm back to about the middle of your chest. Now if you get this much room right here, when you go to throw, your loop's gonna fly farther than you want it to. So there's not as good of a connection between your two hands for you to guide your loop where you want it to go. So it's very important to make sure this distance is right. The next thing, this is your spoke. It's the distance between your hondu, this little hole, and your hand, that's called the spoke. So your spoke should be anywhere from probably about 18 to 20 inches would be a good way to start. You can adjust that later. A lot of people like to heel with a lot of spoke. Some people like to have less spoke. And we'll talk in later videos about how that's going to affect your loop. But give yourself 18, 20 inches or somewhere around there. And then the last thing you want to do, you got this, you got your spoke, is when your arm's straight out, your loop should about touch the ground or be touching the ground. And that's going to give you a good sized loop that you can manage and you can rope something with. So that's just the basics of coiling up your rope, building a loop, and how it should be set. If you don't get those things right, it's really hard to get consistent at roping. And one thing you can do, once you've set all this right here, you got everything right, you could take electrical tape, you could put a piece of electrical tape on each strand right here. I mean, you could tape them together, but you could just do it individually. So you'd have where your coils would be, you'd line all those up, and it'd bring you back to these coils. Then you could put a piece of tape where your hand is here, and then a piece of tape on this strand. And when you go to rope, you could just line all those up real fast. Okay, my hand goes on these two pieces, and these are all lined up. Okay, I know that's right. And then you don't have to, every time, you don't have to feel it and go, okay, that's not enough. Okay, that's about right. So you could just put tape on it, and then when you've thrown it and you coil it back up, you go to build your loop, there will be a piece of tape on this one and then a piece of tape on this one. Just line those two up, put your hand on them, and then rope the dummy. Because you need to rope the dummy about 5,000 times to get good anyway, so that'll be the intro, and in the next one we'll go over the swing and roping something.